una, pinapaabot ko lang po ang aking suporta ating Secretary of Department of Finance, aming guro dito nung 18th Congress. Full support po always sa inyo, sir. With your able leadership, alam kong nasa mabuting kamay po ang ating Department of Finance at ang ating bayan. Ano lang po, konting katanungan lang about ease of doing business. Marami kasing mga reklamo. May batas po tayo dito. It was signed into law, Republic Act 11032 or the Ease of Doing Business Act to reduce red tape in government services. Sana po mapabilis po yung proseso. Pag matagal yung proseso, dyan po na pumapasok yung corruption. Pag natutulog po yung mga papeles at sinasadyang patulugin yung papeles at dyan po nag-uumpisa yung corruption, yung lagay, red tape. Lalo na po sa mga small and SMEs, no? Small, medium enterprise. Ito pong maliliit na negosyante po na gusto lang pong mag-negosyo at kumita. To SEC, what are Securities and Exchange Commission? What are the efforts of the Securities and Exchange Commission in simplifying registration procedures for small and medium enterprises po? Yun ang kadalasan nating narinig na reklamo po.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Senator Go. Yeah, I assumed office, I think, in June. And since then, ease of doing business is a top priority in the SEC. Along that line, we have tightened our timelines. No, we adopted a deemed approved policy that if the SEC is not able to deliver on the internally agreed timeline, the transaction is deemed approved. No? So, and number two, we have strengthened our online company registration system. Before, it covered only about 33 companies, company categories. Now, it covers more than 80 company categories where people who want to register online to make themselves a company, like the SMEs that you will refer to, can do it online. No? And I personally tried it. I was able to register a company for only 2 hours, under 2 hours, Mr. Chairman. And it's becoming popular. I understand the data would show that there are many registrations now. One additional thing that we did on this online registration system for new companies is we also included companies with foreign investors. No? Unlike before, where it was limited to companies where the investors are purely local or domestic. No? And that's in fulfillment of our commitment to foreign investors to make ease of doing business in the Philippines. No? You mentioned about MSMEs. No? That's also a big part of the agenda. In fact, we extended a 50% discount for MSMEs becoming companies, because what we would like to do at the SEC is to invite or get these MSMEs, most of which are sole proprietorships, individuals, into the formal economy by becoming corporations. Hopefully, on the long term, they will become publicly listed companies to help develop our capital market. We also, even for non-MSMEs, again, to help further encourage the development of capital market, we also extended the discounts at the time out, though it may be, just to demonstrate that in the SEC we're serious at easing doing business in the Philippines and developing our capital market. Even little matters like getting documents from the SEC. In fact, that was the first circular that I issued. We reduced our fees by 50%. Again, that may not be very big measure, but it sends a strong message that we want our stakeholders, especially the investors, to have ready access to documents so that they can really see whether the companies that they want to invest in are worth investing in, the chairman. And that's also in line with transparency. We want the documents readily accessible at the least possible cost to our investors, Mr. Chairman, and especially people who really want to invest their money into the formal economy, Mr. Chairman. We also relaxing our rules on, as I said, in implementation of the ARTA, the 3 days it's 7 days, 20 working days, Mr. Chairman. Again, in line with our deep-approved policy that if we are not able to deliver on those timelines, the transaction is deep-approved. Of course, subject to certain exceptions like companies getting secondary licenses. For example, if you're a stockbroker, of course, we have to do extra due diligence. That's why these are exempted from the 20-day rule, Mr. Chairman. Even on, again, on capital markets, we have this 45-day deadline. But what was happening in the past was it was 45 days for the SEC to approve the application, but it's the applicant that gets the internal clearances from the SEC, other departments of the SEC. So what we did is the SEC itself will get the clearances from its other departments, but that's included within the 45-day period. Again, we extended the lifetime of shelf registration from 3 years to 5 years. So shelf registration, you're a company, if you want to raise money from the public, you register self-registration, so you don't have to file again registration statements when you go second time, third time. So we give before there was this system, but it's only limited for 3 years, but we extended it to 5 years. So yeah, just to make our companies to enable our companies to the chance to raise capital when the economy when there are opportunities, instead of filing it after the 3-year period. So these are things that we've done, Mr. Chairman.
Salamat, lalong-lalo na po yung mga maliliit na negosyante. Yun po ang unahin nyo po. Yun yung mga walang kakilala, walang connection or whatsoever. Yun ang nangailangan po ng tulong ninyo. Yung mga mayayaman, may contact naman sa inyo lahat yun. Anyway, is to DOC Commissioner, I'm sorry, sir, to Bureau of Internal Revenue Commissioner Romeo Lumage Jr. Ano po ang hakbang ninyo rito para mas gawing mas simple po or SME friendly ang tax compliance nang hindi sila natatambakan ng multa po at surcharge po? Yun, kawawa naman pag mas-surcharge pa sila. Liit na nga ng kita, liit ng negosyo. Yun po, sana ang bigyan nyo po ng pansin at tulungan yung mga maliliit na negosyante po.
Una-una po yung nakatuon po tayo dyan sa mga SMEs din po. We're doing an aggressive also on information dissemination para maturuan ng SMEs para sa tamang pag-comply, and also pursuant to the ease of paying taxes, pinaiksiri rin po natin yung mga tax forms na sinasubmit po nila. And yung atin pong online facilities, we have established e-lounges nationwide. Sa lahat po ng mga district offices, nagpatayo po tayo ng mga e-lounges na kung saan pwede po silang gumamit ng mga computers at mga mag-avail ng online services ng BIR, at meron pong dedicated revenue officer na tutulong at gagabay sa kanila para maturuan silang gumamit ng mga online facilities. Na meron po tayo dyan yung online registration and update system kung saan pwede po sila magrehistro at kung saan din pwede sila mag-update ng kanilang registration, and also yung pag-file ng kanilang mga returns pwede po silang turuan dyan. Kung hindi nila kayang gawin, kung wala po silang mga internet sa bahay nila, pwede pong gawin po yan sa mga district offices na tinatayo po nating mga e-lounges. And again, patuloy pa rin yung ating pag-improve ng mga online facilities para naman na matulungan pa po sila at tuloy-tuloy yung aming information na dissemination.
Salamat. At yung sa hindi masyadong kabisado sa online po, sana magabayan nyo po ng maayos. Hindi sila mahirapang pumila sa inyong opisina, at yung checklist na dapat nilang gawin to comply para hindi po umabot sa puntong magbabayad sila ng mga surcharges po. Pakitulong na lang po yung mga maliliit na negosyante, Commissioner.
Yes, we'll do po.
Salamat po. Balikan ko lang yung SEC, no? Ang dami nitong investment scams sa ngayon. Ako po, nabibiktima rin po ako nito. Ginagamit yung pangalan natin na ito, mag-invest kayo, kikita kayo, bibigyan kayo ng ganito. Iba't ibang artificial intelligence or the deepfakes, yung mukha natin nagagamit doon, ginagamit ng mga scammer. Ano bang ginagawa ng DOF at ng SEC nito to combat investment scams? At ito rin po online lending, nagpapautang tapos kung hindi nagbayad, pinapahiya. Yun ang marami rin po nagsusumbong. baka tingnan nyo po ito ng mabuti, itong investment scams, panluloko po ito. Yung iba naman, kawawa yung mga kababayan natin, naluloko rin. Konti na nga lang yung pera nila ay nagagamit pa sa investment sa scams na ito. Baka please gawan nyo po ng paraan po ito, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, General Go. We are in the process of strengthening our enforcement and investigation department. Because as you correctly stated, investment scams are proliferating to the damage and prejudice of our people, especially those who are in need of money, who are very susceptible to being scammed, so to speak. We have filed cases even on lending scams, lending practices. No? You know that the tilapia, as you said, yung mga malilit na borrowers natin. In fact, the data would show that we have filed, I think, 31 cases already. And some of them have resulted into convictions. We have raided these places and we issue cease and desist orders. We even revoke license.
Aside from NBI, pwede bang mag-report sa SEC? Meron ba kayo opisina? May
Pwede ho. In fact,
hotline ba kayo to report?
hotline or through email, pwede ho. In fact, the data would show that in 2025 alone, we receive about 10,120 complaints, and we address 6,400 of them. The reason why we could not address everybody, anonymous yung iba wala silang contact details. Pero kung hindi anonymized, out of the 116 that we received, we address all of them. So, yun, ang napansin rin namin, meron rin mga lukulukong borrowers, sila ano sa sarili nila, na parang tilapia pagkatapos tinatanong namin, hindi ba, sila pala parang hindi ba, they want to come to the SEC to come to aid, but they don't give details, Mr. Chairman. So yun, it's again, as I said, enforcement and investigation is a top priority in the SEC now. I know that may mga deep fake. In fact, yung mga online, pupunta kami sa NTC, ano namin sa Google Play in an effort to really help these people. But I'd like to stress a point, Mr. Chairman, as a Senator. Financial literacy is the best defense against, I think, the best tool for investor protection. And I'd like to public thank you, Senator Go, because I saw a bill, where you aim to make financial literacy subject a core or mandatory subject for our high school students. I was given a copy of that, and I really, and then there's a counterpart bill in the House, and I really hope that SEC can work with you to make this a reality, because it has been a long pending project. Even back in my PSC days, I wanted to make financial literacy a core or mandatory subject for our students, because I do believe, and the data would show that if our people are financially literate, the less likely they are to become susceptible to financial scams, Mr. Chairman, Senator. I hope that we can work on with you this, and you will support us, because it will go a long way to protecting the investing public.
Salamat po. Paki-publish lang yung inyong hotline, saan sila pwedeng mag-report, at hindi yung sa amin sila magre-report pa, at dapat sa SEC, para ma-address ka agad ng SEC itong mga problema.
We have done that. We have investor education program by anti-scam initiatives kami, and we're doing our best, Mr. Chairman.
Opo, ito yung Senate Bill 672, making financial literacy and entrepreneurship
core subject.
As core subjects in basic education. Tulungan po tayo.
Tulungan tayo.
Anyway, last question lang po to Secretary Ralph Recto. Sir, for the record po, I am against unprogrammed funds, especially pag nagagamit po ito masyadong broad na nagagamit na po siya for naging natatawag na nga ni Senator Win as naging pork barrel po itong unprogrammed funds, kung hindi po alam ng Pilipino kung saan po nagagamit, hindi itemized sa ating national budget. At balikan ko lang po yung 2024. Nandun po yun sa provision na pwedeng gamitin ng naging walisin, no, ng National Treasury o ng Bureau of Treasury or ng Finance yung mga excess funds. At nagkaroon tayo ng discussion yan sa Committee on Health dito sa Senado at nagkaroon po ako ng 14 hearings including health emergency allowances ng mga health workers at ito pong sa PhilHealth. Kung gamitin naman po yung excess funds pambayad sa health emergency allowances ng mga health workers, wala naman pong masama dahil services rendered po yun, pinagpawisan po nila yun at pinaghirapan noong panahon ng pandemya ang ating mga modern day heroes. Kaya lang po, yung mga excess funds kinuha po ng National Treasury, pinol, then yun po yung ginamit, no, for unprogrammed funds. At noong 2024, meron pong pinabalik, no, na 89.9 billion. Salamat po sa Supreme Court na nagkaroon sila ng TRO at hindi inubos yung 89.9 billion, 60 billion po ang napunta sa National Treasury. Ngayon, nag-order po ang Presidente this year na ibalik po yun. Yun lang katanungan ko is paano po yun ibabalik sa PhilHealth for this year o ipafund po ang PhilHealth next year. At pinaalala ko naman po sa PhilHealth natin, as early as last year, sabi ko sana kung binastos niyo yung pondo ng PhilHealth sa tama, kung nagawa nilang yung mga reforma ginawa nila noong Disyembre, nag-board meeting sila. Yung mga additional case rates, yung mga additional packages, yung mga old policies nila, tinanggal na nila. Kung ginawa nila noong Enero yun ng Enero po ng 2024, wala silang excess funds. Walang wawalisin ang Department of Finance or ang Bureau of Treasury. So walang excess funds. Kasi para po sa akin, ang PhilHealth ay para sa health po, pondo po para sa kalusugan yun ng bawat Pilipino. Para sa akin, wala pong excess funds ang PhilHealth dahil marami pang Pilipino ang takot magpa-hospital, ayaw magpa-hospital dahil sa kahirapan. Meron ng buntis dyan sa Cebu. Cebu yun, no? Sa Cebu, mag-ina, ayaw pong magpa-hospital, nanganak sa sidewalk, namatay pa yung mag-ina. Meron pong isang provincial health officer ng Camarines Norte, na-admit siya 4 million ang sinagot ng PhilHealth, 27,000. Na-admit siya muli, 6 million ang sinagot ng PhilHealth, 29,000. A total of 57,000, which is less than 1% pa po ng kanyang billing. Pero ang nakaltas sa sahod niya, 200,000. Nalugi pa siya, namatay pa po yung provincial health officer. Ibig sabihin, wala talagang excess funds ang PhilHealth. Kaya dapat po, walang naibalik. Kaya lang, nabanggit niyo po ito sa isang hearing natin na nandun po yung nakalagay po doon sa GAA na pwede pong kunin po, no? It was put by Congress. Kaya lang po ako po'y naniniwala, legally, lumusot, but morally, unacceptable po sa akin. Dahil marami pa pong mga pasyente po ang naghihingalo, takot po talagang magpa-hospital sa ngayon dahil po sa kahirapan. Gamitin po sa health yung pondo ng PhilHealth. Kasi once yung hirap po nitong unprogrammed funds, sana po I am against it. Kung meron man po ang unprogrammed funds, dapat klaro kung saan gagamitin. Hindi yung pwedeng gagamitin dito po sa mga flood control projects na ginagawa pong gatasan ng ilan. Mas kawawa naman po yung Pilipino. Habang naghihirap, takot magpa-hospital, tapos yung excess funds ginamit po sa flood control o sa mga unprogrammed funds ginagamit sa mga proyekto na hindi naman po mapapakinabangan ng mga mahirap nating kababayan. So yun lang po, I know you're doing your job po sa Secretary Ralph Recto. Yun lang po ang concern ko, paano po maibabalik itong 60 billion, paano po gagamitin po ito, at paano po maiwasan na magamit po itong mga unprogrammed funds sa pork barrel. Yung mga unprogrammed funds na proyekto ng mga flood control na hindi natin alam, pag nandiyan dyan yung excess collection, pinaghirapan nyo rin po ito, kayo po nagkolekta nitong excess collections, tapos pagdating po sa sino bang mag-decide niyang unprogrammed funds, hindi na natin alam kung saan napupunta. Dapat kung meron man ang unprogrammed funds, naka-specified po doon saan pang gagamitan po. Huwag naman po sana sa mga, kung foreign assisted projects, dapat klaro po, Senator Win, na sa foreign assisted project. Huwag naman yung masyadong broad na pwedeng gamitin sa iba't ibang proyekto na hindi na natin kontrolado. At alam mo yun, alam natin yun na hindi na natin kontrolado saan napupunta yun. At nagiging source na po ng corruption at ginagawa pong gatasan ng iilan po. Concern lang po ako sa pera ng gobyerno. Dapat po yung maibalik po sa taong bayan at nagagamit po sa tama.
Yes, maraming salamat sa inyong katanungan sa aking kaibigan, Senator Bongo, na kasama po sa layunin na ma-improve ang kalusugan dito sa ating bansa. Having said that, alam po ninyo, yung record naman natin nung tayo nandito sa Senado, ay tutol naman talaga tayo dyan sa mga unprogrammed funds na yan. Unang-una sa dahilan na paglilipat mo, yung pondo sa program, lalagay mo sa unprogram para magkaroon ng fiscal space. Halimbawa, sa program ay lumalaki yung deficit ng ating bansa. At dahil dyan, tutol tayo dyan. Ngayon, sa usaping unprogram, kung papayagan natin yan, siguro may mga dalawang dahilan lang kung bakit mahalaga yung unprogram fund. Halimbawa, pag may sakuna, katulad doon nangyari sa Davao del Norte, sa Cebu, may agahan pwede makuha ang ating Pangulo. Kung may excess revenue nga naman, pwede natin gamitin niya para sa kalamidad. Ang isa. Ang pangalawa, halimbawa, hindi nakasama sa cut-off ng DBM yung paggawa ng NEP na may mga foreign assisted project na dumating after the cut-off nung ginawa yung NEP at maganda naman yung mga foreign assisted projects na yan ay pwede mapondohan yan kung nandun sa program. So, to me, only for these two reasons na pwede magkaroon ng unprogram. Siguro pwede natin tignan as a percentage of the budget, 1%, 5% of the budget, pwede siguro unprogram. Something like that. No? But only for these two purposes. Ngayon, tungkol naman doon sa nabanggit nyo na PhilHealth o yung excess revenue ng GOCC. Katulad nung sinabi natin dito nang tayo tinawag sa Kongreso para magpaliwanag tungkol dyan, ay inutusan po tayo ng Kongreso. Sinabihan tayo base sa 2024 GAA, mandated, the DOF shall. Inutusan tayo ng Kongreso noon, kaya natin ginawa yun. Ano po? At tama po yung sinabi nyo, nagkaroon ng Supreme Court decision na nag-TRO, instead of 89 billion, yung 30 billion, winito, yung 60 billion na gamit natin. At naipaliwanag na natin yan dito, marami dyan, kung hindi man kalahati, napunta doon sa mga health workers na tumulong ng panahon ng pandemic. May 27.5 billion. At maraming iba dyan na gamit from health to health. No? Ngayon, katulad doon nabanggit ko, para magkaroon ng fiscal space ang Kongreso, nilipat yung ibang priority programs ng ating Pangulo sa program and some other foreign assisted projects together with flagship projects na yun naman ang pinundahan, karamihan din doon sa program noong 2024. Now, directly, saan manggagaling yung 60 billion na ibabalik natin sa PhilHealth na nakuha natin noong 2024? Nabayaran na rin natin yung mga health workers, nabayaran na rin natin yung mga ibang medical assistance programs na kapaloob ngayon yan sa GAB, sa General Appropriations Bill ng House, na isingit na natin dyan yung 60 billion na dinagdagan natin ang Department of Health budget na ibibigay sa PhilHealth na mahigit 60 billion in next year's budget sa 2026. Ano po? Saan kinuha yung 60 billion? Napag-usapan natin ang Pangulo na kung babawasan natin ang budget ng DPWH doon sa flood control na mahigit 250 billion. Sabi ko sa Pangulo, I recommended na yung 60 billion ibigay na natin sa PhilHealth na hindi na natin kailangan. Ibigay na natin sa PhilHealth yung 60. Ngayon yung 190, meron tayo mga minimum na ginawa. At sinundan naman ng Kongreso ngayon dun sa GAB na karamihan dito mapupunta sa edukasyon, sa kalusugan, halimbawa, at sa agrikultura at may mga ilang pang mga department. No? So, yan, matatanggap ninyo yan. May pasala ng Kongreso ng Lunes yan, kahapon. So, pagbalik ninyo ng session, matatanggap ninyo yung version ng House, the budget for 2026. Makikita nyo nakapaloob doon yung 60 billion na ibabalik sa PhilHealth. And finally, ang isa pang komentaryo dahil nabanggit ninyo yung tungkol sa yung pera ng PhilHealth ay dapat mag-gastos na pangkalusugan, sang-ayon tayo dyan. But having said that, alam po ninyo, yung kalusugan, dalawa eh. Merong PhilHealth, that is on the demand side, at meron yung mga pangangailangan ng hospital on the supply side. Kahit 1 trilyon ang budget ng PhilHealth, pero kung walang hospital, walang paggagastosan yung 1 trilyon na yun. Ano po? Ang kulang sa atin ay kulang ang dami ng ating mga hospital bed. Kung kaya, doon din sa 2026 budget na isasabit din dito ng Kongreso, kasama doon sa menu yung supply side, pagdagdag ng health enhancement program ng DOH, makatulong sa mga local government unit dahil dinibold natin ang pangkalusugan sa local government unit. The last time the local government built a hospital was probably pre-pandemic. Okay, so kulang na kulang sa Mindanao. Covered nga lahat ng taga Mindanao sa PhilHealth, pero kung ilan lang ang hospital sa Mindanao, hindi mapapakinabangan ng Mindanao. Mas maraming hospital sa Luzon, mas maraming taga Luzon na miyembro ng PhilHealth ang makikinabang halimbawa sa PhilHealth dahil may hospital sa Luzon. So, I would strongly suggest for Congress to look at it from both sides. The number of hospitals and hospital beds we have, including the funding of PhilHealth pagdating sa kalusugan. So maraming salamat sa inyong katanungan, sir.
I agree with you, no? In fact, nung chairperson po ako ng Committee on Health, with your support noon sa 18 Congress, na talagang pinaglaban natin yung mga additional hospital beds, renationalization, kung kakailanganin, dahil maraming mga probinsya po na walang sariling hospital, kaya DOH po nagdadala at marami tayong sinusuportahan na mga hospital at mga health centers. At pakiusap ko lang sa Secretary Recto, tulungan nyo rin po ito to make it operational at dapat magamit po mula Luzon, Visayas hanggang Mindanao. And pakiusap ko lang po na reminder lang po, mas alam nyo naman po ito, nabanggit nyo po kanina na inutusan po kayo ng Kongreso kung na pwedeng kunin po sa GOCC yung excess funds. Ang pakiusap ko lang naman po, since nasa inyo yung discretion kung ano po yung GOCC na pwedeng pagkukunan.
Wala pong discretion ang ibinigay sa akin ang
Basta excess
mandate
po.
na yun.
Mandate.
Oo, maliwanag yung walang discretion na ibinigay. Basta excess revenue.
Ang pakiusap ko lang, can you just spare the health? I mean, kung maaari, kung magkakaroon kayo ng mga ganong provisions in the future, wag lang po sana yung health. Kung wala na, wag di na rin tayo papayag dito sa Senado ng ganon.
Yan ang
Hindi na rin tayo papayag. Pero ibig ko pong sabihin, kung meron man pong mga ganong provision na makita kayo, kindly spare the health. Kasi para sa akin talaga, PhilHealth is para sa health. Health, klaro eh. Health ng Pilipino, PhilHealth.
I agree totally. Ang pakiusap ko sa inyo, huwag nyo kaming utusan.
Hindi po yun inutusan. It was nilagay lang po sa provision ng GAA na pwedeng kunin yung excess funds. Ilalagay na namin next time na wag ang health. Please, wag ang health. Kasi marami pang Pilipino ang takot magpa-hospital at walang pambayad po sa pagpapa-hospital. Yung iba po, namamatay na lang po sa takot magpa-hospital. Salamat po, Secretary Recto. Full support po ako always sa inyo. Alam nyo, isa po kayo sa aking hinahangaan noon pa, lalong-lalo na po dito sa when it comes to finances ang pinag-usapan dito. Mr. Chair, our humble appeal is simple. Tulungan po natin at bigyang pansin ang ating mga MSMEs at cooperatives. We must review the processes, the fees, and the requirements being imposed by the SEC, BIR, and related agencies and ensure that our policies are designed to help our small businesses and cooperatives thrive. Huwag natin silang pahirapan pa sa kanilang pagko-comply. Tulungan po natin sila. That is why, Mr. Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to commend the leadership of Secretary Ralph Recto and recognize the agency's dedication to upholding sound fiscal policies. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.